How was your weekend? Donald Trump was almost RFK'd, JFK'd, or MLK'd. The government, for once, they failed at getting their man out of the way to accrue more power over your lives and more bureaucracy in our country. And I say, thank God. This is your favorite night of the week, one night early. The Deep End on Tim Hatch Live. My word, my word, my word. This moment, friends, is going to become pages in history books, in classrooms across the country. I can't overstate the moment that we're in. We are writing history daily in 2024 in one of the craziest news cycles that I've ever witnessed in my life. Welcome to the Deep End Season 7, Episode 30. My name is Tim Hatch, and you're watching Tim Hatch Live. And if you are here regularly, make sure you're clicking the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Get notified every time we go live, where we talk about the news of the day from a Christian world view. I am just amazed. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I'm doing it one night early because there's no way I could sleep on this until Tuesday night. By the way, this content is for educational purposes only, and my new book, Ending Emptiness, is out now. I am a pastor at heart and primarily, and I wrote this book based on Ecclesiastes, Solomon, and Ernest Hemingway. It's available now. Check it out, endingemptiness.com. So glad that you are with us. So, the shots heard round the world this past Saturday night. I was at dinner with my wife. We were enjoying a date night. Rare in our life of very busy schedules, but we had a wonderful time together. I got a text from a friend, an elder in my church. Shots fired at Donald Trump. He's been hit. I imagined the worst. I'm sure you did when you first heard it too. Thankfully, we have things like X, owned by Elon Musk, where we can quickly access the news on our devices. And here's what we all saw.
You see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Just silence for a few moments, nobody knowing what's going on. More shots in the air.
Hold, when you're ready, on you.
Pandemonium. Trump gets back up with the Secret Service agents covering him. We're going to talk about this in just a moment.
Are you ready?
I'm sure you've seen this already, but
We're good.
it's worth playing and watching again and again.
Let's move.
We're clear.
He's down on the ground for a considerable time there.
Let me get my shoes.
Wants his shoes. Watch this.
Get my shoes.
Hold that in your head, buddy.
Watch this. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. He's up on his feet, asking for his shoes. Blood on his face. Wait. Fist in the air. Fight. The crowd goes nuts. And he's hauled away. Friends, if you're not blown away by all that imagery, I don't know what to say. I mean, of course, those who hate him are going to hate him no matter what. And we've got the receipts, we've got the videos, we've got the posts of the lunatics who so hate this man, they cannot even bring themselves to see what happened from just an objective point of view. A leading presidential candidate was almost assassinated. He was almost JFK'd. He was almost grassy knolled. He was almost wiped out by the deep state. He came this close. Centimeters. This is just a day of imagery that we will, again, see in history books for generations. Your grandchildren will read about this. They will see pictures in their history books like this. On the ground, blood dripping from his face. Like this, back up, fist in the air. American flag waving in the wind overhead. Today's photography allows us to see the bullet going past his head at lightning speed. Unbelievable imagery available to us today. Friends, it was this close, okay? It was this close. He turns his head as he's talking, and without that turn, he's dead. It's just unbelievable what is happening right now in our world. Somebody put up a different angle from the back. Watch this. Watch the head
that's
turn.
a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Do you see it? Take a look at what happened. Head turn, shot. Take a look at what happened. Shot, head turn. Razor close. And if centimeters made the difference, you're almost speechless just talking about, just thinking about it. Trump quickly responded on Truth Social. This was like less than, 30 minutes. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of its law enforcement for the all law enforcement, for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place. I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It's incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong, and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America. This is unbelievable stuff happening lightning fast. We are living in lightning fast news, media, culture. So that's why, again, today, a day early with the deep end. So he joins a list of elite Republicans, does he not? Ronald Reagan, shot about, 3 months into his first term as president, became a beloved American figure. Abraham Lincoln, shot for emancipating the slaves, bringing the country together, winning the Civil War. Donald Trump, could he go down in history? Perhaps not as the man that we see him now, but as a far better president than people realize. We will see. Not pictured, by the way, as Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was shot, or at least there was an attempted assassination on Teddy Roosevelt. He survived, but he would later lose the election to Woodrow Wilson in 1912. However, he was a split-ticket RFK Jr. type figure in the Republican Party against sitting President Howard Taft, just for historical reference. That's where we are. It took 2 hours for President Biden to post the following on Twitter. I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who are at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as a nation and condemn it. It took 2 hours for our president to get that tweet out. Of course, we know that it wasn't him tweeting it. It was his lackeys. It was his press secretary, probably. Remember a couple of months ago when the press secretary tweeted what was meant for a Biden tweet to her own account. So we know that it's not Biden writing these things. But again, just kind of shows you the vitriol for the present administration toward the former administration. The present administration is the shadow administration of the Obama presidency. That's what it is. They absolutely hate that Donald Trump won in 2016. They were out to get him from day one. They foisted all kinds of lies and misinformation upon the American public for 4 years during Donald Trump's presidency and beyond. And they cannot stand this. They cannot stand this. And a lot of people cannot stand that the assassination attempt was against Donald Trump. Because in some areas, he's going to be considered now a sympathetic figure. He's going to be considered a heroic figure. I mean, fist pumping in the air. People are going to love this guy. The fighters are going to love this guy. In the extra content tonight, we've got a lot of evidence of people coming around to President Trump from the far left categories. You got to pay to see that, though. Be a part of the Deep End of Bulls community. Oh, by the way, Deep End of Bulls community, you're getting if you're a legacy member, you're getting this shirt, God over government. We must obey God rather than men. And that's coming to you free if you were part of the Deep End of Bulls community. Let's get back to the content, though. Some saw this coming. Some people like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson said the following a couple months ago. Watch.
They called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can reach that conclusion.
So there you have it. Tucker Carlson proving somewhat prophetic at the time. Now, what did the news media report about Carlson's words? Of course, they called him a right-wing conspiracist. He's a lunatic. Don't listen to that guy. I bring you back to my conclusion of the matter, or at least my idea about this present moment. The government almost got away with this. The government. Now, again, there's a lot going on, and we can speculate. But at some point, we got to ask ourselves, how did a 20-year-old loner get this close to the president, 130 yards away, with a rifle, with an AR-style rifle? And this was just some lone wolf attempt on the former president, possibly future president's life? No stinking way. No stinking way. There's something very devious going on. That's where I stand. You may disagree. That's where I stand. The government, right and left, hates this guy. They have hated him since he came down that golden escalator and announced he was going to be president. I mean, really, if you've watched politics as I have for the last 20 plus years, I've been watching since George Bush started running for his second term back in 2002. So I've watched this, okay? I've never seen both the right and the left try to oust one man. This is why he's a threat. He's a threat to governmental power. He's a threat to the deep state. He's a threat. And, this is just, we have to start calling it what it is. JFK was a threat to the establishment. He called on Americans to serve. He called on Americans to give. He called on Americans to not ask for what the government could do for them, but what they could do for their country. And the country said, that's a problem because we like power. We like dependence. We like people leaning and relying on us. And so they took him out. God over government, people. Trust me, you want to live there. So some proof that this was perhaps an orchestrated event. Did you know that papers were filed to remove President Trump's Secret Service detail by House Democrats? This is from the New York Post. House Democrat introduces bill aimed at Trump that would strip Secret Service protection from felons. Representative Benny Thompson of Mississippi on Friday, this is a couple weeks ago, announced or introduced legislation that would strip Secret Service protection from convicted felons, a bill clearly aimed at former President Donald Trump. Quote, unfortunately, current law doesn't anticipate how Secret Service protection would impact the felony prison sentences of a protectee, even a former president. Thompson, the former chairman of the House January 6th Select Committee, said in a statement, it's regrettable that it's come to this, but this previously unthought of scenario would become our reality. A fact sheet on the so-called disgraced Former Protectees Act notes that Trump's unprecedented 91 felony charges in federal and state courts across the country have created a new exigency that Congress must address to ensure Secret Service protection does not interfere with the criminal justice process and the administration of justice. So this is, just kind of like legally speak for we can't protect a person going to jail with Secret Service protection. That it's a workaround to rob the leading presidential candidate against the current president of the protection that he needs to run a successful campaign, whether he wins or loses. That his success is that he actually gets to election day. How about that? That's success. He lives until election day. Here's my question. Where was Secret Service? And who the heck is this Secret Service? First, videos all over the internet. We check for true stuff on this show. Just letting you know, we check for true stuff on this show. There were people in the crowd who took notice of the shooter on the roof and asked for someone to intervene. Here's what went down.
I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful places.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And son, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America...
Tons of people seeing. Tons of people can see that there is a suspect on the roof.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that should
Officer.
be dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
On the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went squat on the roof again.
They didn't do anything. They didn't respond. They didn't pay attention. Ironically, Donald Trump at that very moment talking about the criminals, the dangerous people. Little did he know he was seconds away from being the target of one of those people. An eyewitness says he saw the shooter climb up the building and notified the police and did nothing. Watch.
Someone who was here, you weren't inside the event, nope, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw and what.
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farm and Greenhouse here. We had a party. And we all decided, hey, you know, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%.
Suspicious, is it not? Here's another angle. Did DEI strike again? Because, look, even if it wasn't JFK'd, MLK'd, RFK'd, even if it wasn't purposefully coordinated by our government to take this guy out, it could be labeled as a simple abdication of duty based on your horrible political policy. That is DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, giving jobs to people based on immutable physical, emotional, mental characteristics rather than on who's best suited by merit for the job. Like when you want people to protect your life, do you care what color they are? Do you care what sexual orientation they are? Or do you just want the guy who could take out the killer with a gun from 1,000 yards because he's that good? I want that guy. Do you want the guy who fidgets with his gun getting back into the holster? Or do you want the guy who knows how to draw quickly and holster the weapon safely? So this is what DEI looks like right now. Just Secret Service before DEI, Secret Service after DEI. We've got this fidgeting female Secret Service agent who could not safely holster her weapon. Watch during the fiasco. There she is, right there in the center, looking completely lost. And then notice this. Doesn't know how to put her weapon back in the holster. Do you understand how dangerous that is? It's a loaded weapon. And she struggles in the moment. Like, no, I'm sorry. You don't get to learn on the job when you are a Secret Service agent. You don't get to say, oh, oops, I'm going to figure that out later. Next time, no. You know what you're doing. And here's the question nobody wants to ask, but I will. Why are women getting these jobs? You can call me sexist. I don't care. This is ridiculous. Why are women getting the job to protect a full-grown man? Someone grabbed this picture from another angle. There she is, ducking behind the president, away from his body, as a male Secret Service agent basically smothers Trump's body with his own. This picture tells you that men and women are not the same, no matter what your local state-funded university tells you. Men and women are different. This is not to disparage women, because there are things that women can do that men cannot do. And I absolutely believe that women have protective instincts concerning their young and perhaps the reputation of their husbands. And women would stand in front of a train for their kids' lives. Absolutely. But this is a president who needs protecting, not a 12-year-old. Women are not called to protect men. Men are called to protect women. This is the director of the Secret Service. Her name is Kimberly Cheadle. And before she was the head of the Secret Service, again, a woman, she was involved in PepsiCo. Basically, she was bottling Pepsi and schlepping Cheetos before she decided to lead the organization that protects our national leaders and potential presidents. By the way, remember that RFK Jr. has been denied Secret Service protection by the President of the United States. He will not give RFK Jr. another presidential candidate who has 10, 12% of the vote, according to the polls, not getting any Secret Service protection. Will that change? I doubt it. DEI was definitely at work here. Here is a recent CBS expose on the hiring of women in these services. Watch this.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents. But
What? YouTube influencer gets to train who? Why? What? Do we take security seriously anymore? Do we take these jobs serious? See, DEI makes everything insane and ignorant. It is all based on secondary, if not completely tertiary issues of this person's life, facts about this person's life, instead of, can they do the job? Do they have the ability? So here is the head of the Secret Service. Watch.
Very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection. Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We can go on and on with that clip, but that's just enough. I don't want to get flagged too much by YouTube. Again, this is for educational purposes. This is shocking stuff that is being exposed. Narratives are being blown up as we speak. As history books are written, narratives are being blown up because history deals with facts, not feelings. And the facts are that DEI is a disgrace. It is destroying our country. It is setting us up for perpetual failure, a.k.a. inflation, a.k.a. the Afghanistan withdrawal, a.k.a. Jobs being taken from American citizens and being given to illegal immigrants. You name it. DEI is coming for you. It's kind of interesting that it's diversity, equity, inclusion, because it should be diversity, inclusion, equity, because that would spell what it will lead to. Die. This is a former Green Beret who has this take on the whole event, calling out the abysmal abdication of duty and the suspicious failure of the Secret Service. Watch.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here to tell you why the shooting of President Donald Trump yesterday, without a doubt in my mind, was a planned and coordinated attack on the president inside our government, our local agency, or police force. Here's why. My name is Matthew Murphy, and I am a retired Green Beret, retired from this Special Forces group, but I'm also a level 1 sniper, which means that I have graduated the highest level of training for snipers that you can do in special operations. We're trained, I'm going to avoid confidential or classified terminology, we're trained in assassinations and counter-assassinations for the very reason, case in point, yesterday, the shooting of President Donald Trump. So, first of all, anywhere the president's going to go, there are teams from the Secret Service that go out days, if not weeks, if not months, before the president will ever be at that spot. And they do a site security assessment. And they do that with the local police forces and agencies to ensure that every potential security threat or vulnerability is secured and, of course, protected against. Now, this is done way before Donald Trump will ever get there, and they know every place that the president will be, and the sniper team especially is responsible for ensuring that no one can take a shot at the president. Now, that does not mean that the sniper team just sets up with their guns and scans the crowd and shoots. No, what they do, the most important thing they do, pre-Donald Trump showing up, is within a 360-degree environment of that podium of the president, they ensure that there is not a place that is open that will be accessible by someone with a rifle to take a shot at the president. So they make sure those places are barricaded off, inaccessible, and heavily guarded, so there is no way you were going to get to the place where you could even shoot the president with a rifle before the president shows up. Then they scan the crowd and those places with the rifle, just in case by some miracle you do. Now, you're not going to tell me, I don't care who you are, don't listen to the media, nonsense anyways, I think most of us know that by now, that some 20-year-old kid that looks like he played Dungeons and Dragons in his mom's basement is trained on a gun, especially a sniper rifle like that, is a registered Republican, and then can access anywhere near the vicinity of that crowd, of that event, with him not dressed in a uniform and that sniper rifle. He was wearing American flag t-shirt and pants, and he had a rifle. You're going to tell me that that kid went through all this levels of security, somehow got into the closest building to the president, then accessed the rooftop of the closest building to the president, then had the time to unpack his rifle, lay down in the prone, and then take 5 to 8 well-aimed shots at the president before he was decisively engaged by the Secret Service's counter sniper teams or a local police department. I don't know who they were. Most likely police. You're going to tell me all that happened and a 20-year-old kid did that without it being heavily planned, coordinated, and people on the inside making it happen? There's absolutely no way possible that that kid was able to get up there and take those shots at the president without a lot of internal help. So someone in that local, or some people inside that local police department, agencies, or Secret Service is compromised and is a threat to our president. So we need to stop worrying about that damn shooter and start worrying about who allowed this shit to happen. And President Trump, if you need an American to protect you who's actually good at sniping and stopping this crap, give me a call. I'll do it for free.
You can't bring shampoo on the airplane without it getting confiscated. And this kid walks into a presidential a campaign rally with a rifle and gets on a roof and is even called out and is ignored by the authorities. And something's fishy. You know what's even more fishy is that the FBI has decided to investigate this thing. So this is a great meme. Like, the FBI takes the lead in Trump assassination investigation. And if you know the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first movie with Indiana Jones, this is that last scene where they take the Ark of the Covenant and they just kind of shelve it in this governmental, holding facility. It's like Las Vegas shooter, JFK, MLK, Hunter Biden laptop, just goes right in with the rest of the fiascos that our government has potentially coordinated and then covered up. Now, how did the media report it? Well, they reported it like it was a mostly peaceful Pop-Tart party. Like he just fell to the ground. Did JFK slump over in his car in Houston? No, but evidently Trump just fell because of loud noises. These are some of the headlines. Washington Post, Trump escorted away after loud noises. NBC News, Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after popping noises. Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises. Donald Trump escorted off stage by Secret Service during loud noises. MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally. That one has to be the best from Newsweek. MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally. Yeah, so much outrage by the MAGA crowd that not a single city is burning today. Not a single facility, structure, street is occupied. Not a single protest, not a single riot. Where's an FBI agent to instigate a January 6th when you need it? I mean, seriously, that's where we are. Trump was shot and nothing, not a single negative, outlandish reaction on the heels of it. Could you imagine if Barack Obama had been shot? Just imagine, okay, if Bill Clinton had been shot, or pick your Democrat. This is such nonsense, popping noises. Like that would be like them reporting on Clinton, CNN, breaking news, Lincoln nods off at play, or JFK really falls really hard at rally in Dallas. You gotta love X. Someone found this secret list of guidelines for how the news media was instructed to report the shooting. Quote, don't call it assassination attempt unless authorities say it is. And quote, don't say shooting targeted Trump. Quote, no need for serious face or adding comments, end quote. Our news media is all in the same bag, instructed by the same nefarious puppeteers who are calling the shots for how we hear about our life. And that's why this show exists, and that's why you need to like it, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Get notified every time we go live. Sometimes we got to go a day early, like tonight. Let's talk about the reaction, the bad, the ugly, and the unthinkable, because there's hardly any good. First, our president took to the podium and was asked this question.
And I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
So the guy shoots a gun at your leading opponent, who is leading you in many polls. And you can't say it was an assassination attempt? What was it? Maybe he did already get the briefing that it was coordinated. I mean, just throwing it out there. Meanwhile, the New York Times, the day after, ran with this full-page ad the day after Trump was almost shot. Look, this is the New York Times. What a despicable, heartless, gutless, disgusting rag of a newspaper. He failed the test of leadership, betrayed America. Voters must reject him in November. Not 12 hours removed from a bullet whizzing through his ear. Just put yourself in Donald Trump's shoes for a moment. Okay, have you ever been to the gun range? I've been to the gun range. I remember the first time I took my wife there because I bought her a gun to protect herself, and she was overwhelmed by the loudness, the activity, and it is intimidating. This man had a bullet fly through his ear. Just think about that. Think if you were that guy. Would you have the wherewithal to get back up? Would you have the wherewithal to put your fist in the air with blood in your face? And then the next day, you've got leading media outlets calling for America to reject you. You know what? You couldn't put it off a couple days, New York Times. You couldn't have just waited, 48 hours out of respect for the emotions of his family, of his supporters, of himself. These people are heartless. They're evil. It's disgusting. Meanwhile, Morning Joe, which is Joe Biden's favorite television show. This is the Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski morning talk show on MSNBC. Its episode was pulled this morning because they were afraid that one of the guests on the 4-hour program would say something that could assail the program and the network. So basically what this is they are admitting that there are people on this show who regularly say damaging things to the credibility of MSNBC. And then this morning at the RNC, where the RNC is being held at the arena in Milwaukee, David Axelrod, a former advisor to Obama, suggested that January 6th led to the assassination attempt. I can't believe this. Watch.
And it is a time for everyone to dial it back.
Well, I would just say there's no doubt about it, but we live in the age of social media where hate and outrage and conspiracy theories are actually profitable. And we've seen politics sort of mirror that. And this is a huge challenge for the country. And listen, I give the speaker credit because I think his tone as speaker has been different in a way. And I think he deserves credit for that. But, the reality is that there are things you can't erase. I mean, we all remember January 6th. We remember the president's rhetoric then. Just a few weeks ago, he retweeted a tweet in which Liz Cheney was accused of treason, and it said, read truth if you want televised military tribunals, and he did. So I think the speaker should talk to the president as well, because he has done his share to put us where we are.
This is just victim shaming. That's what this is. January 6th. My word, when on earth will they let that sleeping dog lie? Everything is January 6th. Everything is January 6th, which makes me believe how much more so that it was coordinated by our government to give a never-ending excuse to demonize Donald Trump and his supporters for perpetuity. Then you have Hollywood being Hollywood. Oh. This is why I can't watch modern television shows. No-name actress Amanda Seales shares this theory on Trump's near assassination. Quote, that blank was more staged than Tyler Perry's production of Medea Runs for President. I lived in Harlem long enough to know gunshots do not sound like making popcorn on the stove. You mean the gunshot doesn't sound on television like it sounds in real life? Are you not aware of science? Are you not aware of auditory realities? And then you have attention hogs like Jack Black's Tenacious D band, who took to the stage on a concert, sang happy birthday to a band member, and then asked the band member his wish. Here's how that went down. That's Jack Black singing.
Don't miss Trump next time.
And clapping. A lot of people like that. A lot of people like that. A lot of people have been exposed for the hate-filled people they are. This is Tyler Barbeiri, a top official for New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Too bad he missed on his Instagram reel or story. I think he has been fired. I'm not sure. This is Stacey Patton, an associate professor at Morgan State University. She hoped the assassination attempt was successful, and it's justified because Republicans are racist. This is Colorado Representative Stephen Woodrow, whose Twitter or X profile is now deactivated. He posted 30 minutes after the shooting, quote, the last thing America needed was sympathy for the devil, but here we are, end quote. This is an elected representative in Colorado. Where you at, Colorado voters? Where you at? This is a Pennsylvania firefighter, which is ironic since a firefighter lost his life at the shooting. He said on Facebook, too bad it didn't hit him square, popcorn emoji. And then he cried this morning because he resigned from the firehouse because people said mean things about the very heinous statements he made. This one has to take the cake, however. This is the peaceful protest crowd. These are the left-wing voters, the Democrats who say they are all for tolerance and acceptance. Here is someone being asked about the shooting. Man on the street style. Watch.
What was your thoughts about the assassination attempt?
They missed. They missed.
He
should have died. He's not good for this country, and he never will be.
Wow.
He's the worst person that can be ever in politics. He's not even a politician.
So you're disappointed that the shooter missed Donald Trump?
100%. 100%. No, well, nothing. He should have died. She doesn't like him as much as I do, but she's a little more sympathetic to people dying.
I think that the shooter was justified.
He did what he wanted to do.
These people are sick, and they are horrible people, and evil is real. We used to talk about evil being in the hearts of Muslim jihadists. Now evil is in the hearts of beach-going fat jerks like that. Sick. Disgusting. From the tolerance crowd. From the every view is welcome here crowd. You know what it's called? It's called projection. Projection is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person. The term is most commonly used to describe defensive projection, attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. For example, if someone continually bullies and ridicules a peer about his insecurities, the bully might be projecting his own struggle with self-esteem onto the other person. That's exactly what the Democrats have been doing. That's exactly what they've been doing. Everything the left says about the right, the left is. They are power-hungry fascists who want to run this country as they see fit and demonize and imprison everyone who disagrees or fights back. They said Trump would lock Hillary up. They're trying to lock Trump up, only they're actually following through on the promise. They said they were peaceful protests, and then they burn half the country down for 4 months in 2020. They are everything. Everything they say about the other side is who they are, which is interesting because they called him Hitler for 10 years, didn't they? Which makes me think, who's the Hitler? Let's just do a little quick recap of how they've talked about this man. As recently as June 28th of this year, 10 days ago, 20 days ago, Joe Biden tweeted out, Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Really? 75 million people voted for a threat to everything America stands for? Let's not forget this awful moment in 2022 with the red backdrop and the soldiers in the background where Joe Biden spouted off for an hour about how MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Let's not forget how they've recently reported on Donald Trump, casting him as a Hitler-type figure and saying, yes, in the Washington Post, it's okay to compare him to Hitler. Don't let me stop you. These people are mad. This is unbelievable. Projection again and again and again. Here's a solid 2 minutes of Democrats calling him Hitler. Watch.
Trying to figure out how did people get basically drawn in by Hitler? How did that happen?
He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And we hear this all the time. People say, gosh, if back in the day, if only one person had the courage to stop Hitler.
I think one thing you and I agree on is Donald Trump is an existential threat to this country.
What, in your view, would happen if he were to be reelected?
Oh, I can't even think that, because I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. You could see it in countries where, well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right. Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. This time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
That goes on, and you can find it for yourself online, and you just have to call it what it is. This is rhetoric that leads to what happened this past weekend. And you say, well, Donald Trump says some pretty mean things. Yeah, he does. He does too. Both sides say horrible things, but only one presidential candidate just had his life almost ripped from him. Here's Nancy Pelosi, the most powerful Democrat in the country at one point.
I hear mixed. Some people are saying because Donald Trump is such an authoritarian, an autocrat, we have to win this election. This is not a normal election where you want to win. If you don't, you cooperate and do the best you can for the country and hope to win the next time.
What? Did she just say that you can't cooperate with the results of this election if we don't win? That's basically what she just said in that clip. And these are the things that they claim Trump is doing and would do. They are projecting upon the Republicans themselves.
This is something that is undermining our democracy, and he must be stopped. He cannot be president.
He must be stopped. He cannot be president. Over and over and over and over again. Here's an unhinged actress / I'm sure unfunny comedian named Leah Della Ria from Orange is the New Black. I'm pretty sure. Here's what she said a couple weeks ago.
Trump out. Take him out, Joe. If he was Hitler and this was 1940, you'd take him out. Well, he is Hitler and this is 1940.
No, it's not. It's 2024, and there are no Jews or any other group of people being rounded up and put into concentration camps. And by the way, if that was happening, it would be your guy doing it because he's the current president. These people are so detached from reality, so suffering from what has been termed Trump derangement syndrome. It is unbelievable. This headline from the Huffington Post a couple of weeks ago, quote, Supreme Court gives Joe Biden the legal okay to assassinate Donald Trump, end quote. No, it did not. It ruled that there are some immunity protections for presidents when they are operating in their official capacities, and other capacities have to be brought before the courts. And the most ironic thing is that now they're saying, well, calm. Let's calm down the rhetoric. Like, this is Democrats today. Our political opponents are domestic terrorists yesterday, and today it's, hey, guys, whoa, maybe cool down the heated rhetoric. To which I tweeted out in 2016 to 2023, he's literally Hitler. 2024. Thankful he's alive and praying for a speedy recovery. Make it make sense. By the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, it's Tim Hatch Live. This is crazy. Joe did call for calm from the White House, and when he did, he slurred through some words such as ballot box. Watch.
To call for action at the ballot box. No violence on our streets.
So not the ballot box, the battle box. Again, he slurred through the rest of the teleprompter script until getting to this final portion of his talk, trying to bring calm to the nation, and see if you can't tell what he is almost dying to say in his closing remarks. Watch this.
So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit to make America think about it.
He can't say it, but he wanted to say it. Joe almost had to say "Make America Great Again," and I love Twitter. I love the internet, because the internet just does it. This is somebody took to the web to fix it for us. Watch.
So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit to make America great again.
Okay, I mean, that you got to love that. Now, let's get to pastoral commentary at this point. Last week, I asked this question: who is God's choice in this election? Maybe God is answering that question. Has God decided? Has he made his choice? Because this feels like a movie, doesn't it? It feels like this is scripted. The head is turned a quarter of an inch, and he avoids assassination, all the while being labeled Hitler, and then his opponents have nothing to say. And now what do the Democrats do as they are in disarray with an octogenarian candidate who cannot spell his last name? What Democrat is going to want to step into this nightmare and take on the guy who was almost assassinated at the expense of their political future, where all they could really just do is ride out the next 4 years of Biden or Trump and then run in their own name and in their own right? A lot of things are looking very, I want to say, providential. Yeah, I do believe in providence, and I absolutely believe that God can and has used really, really questionable characters to providentially bring about his will on this earth. I do not say Trump is God's chosen one. I think that is ridiculous nomenclature. I do say that whoever is president is God's selected agent for such a time as this. And you should say the same thing as well. And we will get to that in just a moment. But another video that is grabbing attention in the Christian circles is this video of Brandon Briggs prophesying from March of this past year that what happened this weekend would happen. Watch.
I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election. Through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great.
All right, so that goes on, and I'm going to talk about this for a moment, because I think I don't want to call him Prophet Brandon Briggs. I don't know if I did. Brandon Biggs. We don't know if he's a prophet. That's pretty stellar that he predicted the shooting that way. I will give him that. But then he does go further and say that he will win. So there's that. Then he says that an economic collapse will happen shortly after he's elected, and this will turn into a national spiritual revival and awakening. And I say, okay, those words are out there. Now the test of Scripture comes into play here, which is if the prophet's words come true, he is a prophet. If they don't come true, he is not a prophet. The problem also with Brandon Biggs is that he has been wrong before. Protestia.com reporting that he previously argued or prophesied that a major economic crash was going to happen in 2013. And he urged everyone to buy rations and supplies. That didn't happen. By the way, he also says that the upcoming Passover, this past one, it just happened a couple weeks ago, would accelerate politics. That's happened. War. That hasn't really happened, and there will be record-breaking temperatures, and the largest tornadoes that we've ever seen in history, 150 mile per hour winds. That is sort of happening. So he said a lot, but again, the prophet is to be tested. 1 John 4:1. Don't believe every spirit. Test the spirits. So if these prophecies do not come true, we don't listen to what he says. Okay, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to just besmirch the guy. It's kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see. Let's start with so he got the shot right against, or just missing him and hitting his ear, but did he get the repentance right? Did Donald Trump fall to the ground and repent and turn his life over to Jesus? Well, the next morning on True Social, Trump posted the following: "Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday, as it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness." Those are Christian biblical terms, in my opinion. I've also heard that he has scrapped his RNC speech coming up Thursday night in favor of a Unite the Country theme for when he accepts the Republican nomination. I think that's great. Now some inconvenient truth about the shooter, Matthew Crooks, who has presently been identified as the shooter by our government, if you believe the narrative. Here's the inconvenient truth. The shooter's parents were both mental health professionals. I cannot make this stuff up. This is out of Pennsylvania. Department of State lists both his father, Matthew Brian Crooks, and his mother, Mary Elizabeth Crooks, as licensed professional counselors in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, here's my question. A couple of months ago, the Michigan shooter, Ethan Crumbley's parents, James and Jennifer, were sent to jail for their son's heinous school shooting, a mass attack in a Michigan school. What should be done about these mental health professional parents of Matthew Crooks? If these parents, the Crumbley parents, went to jail, should now we prosecute the Crooks parents? Somehow I doubt that they will be prosecuted, and that tells me even more about what I think about this past weekend's events. Okay. Pastoral response continues because we do have this spectrum. Let me put this up on the screen of pastors on the attempted assassination. And I saw this trending on Twitter as well. Like, some pastors we're going to completely ignore it like it doesn't exist. And then there are MAGA rally time pastors. And that's kind of like the spectrum that we're in right now. So somewhere and this is in the Reformed community. The Reformed preacher community is, we preach Christ and Him crucified every Sunday. And so if you want to hear politics and news events, go somewhere else. And then there's other people who are on a equally, I think, ignorant scale side of the spectrum, which is that we're going to scrap everything we were planning and just preach how God has chosen Trump and spared Trump and everything's about, let's get him elected, and so go out there and vote and make America great again. I mean, that spectrum is kind of like what gets highlighted in the news, and I'm going to highlight it now. So, for instance, Pastor Jack Hibbs out in California, He leads a congregation of more than 10,000, wore a colonial preacher's robe that usually hangs on a rack in the church with placards that read, "Use in case of acts of tyranny." Quote, "My question is, why is Donald Trump alive?" Hibbs, who replaced Fox News footage of Saturday's Pennsylvania shooting, replayed Fox News footage of Saturday's Pennsylvania shooting, suggested God saw from heaven that Trump was, quote, Israel's best friend, And, quote, it wasn't the man, it was a decision he made regarding the blessing of Israel. Then you have Pastor Jensen Franklin, Free Chapel in Georgia, referencing Old Testament prophecies about the healing of Israel and ask God to make Trump a man on a mission to keep America strong and powerful. You preserve Trump's life and you don't preserve anything you don't have a purpose for, Franklin said in a pre-recorded player that was shared during the service on Sunday morning. Mark Burns, a pastor at Harvard's Praise and Worship Center in South Carolina, who is close to Trump, said the former president is now stronger than ever and called for supporters to exercise restraint in the coming days. That's not so bad. But there are tons of memes going around, some quite shocking, like the angel of the Lord standing behind Donald Trump, and the quote from Psalm 91. I don't like this image, Jesus holding on to Donald Trump as if Jesus needs him. I gotta tell you, folks, these images are very off-putting to biblically minded Christians. Jesus does not need Donald Trump, okay? And then this idea of the angel maybe moving the bullet, maybe that's true. I have a less of a problem with that. I really do. Because maybe this will be used to tamp down the rhetoric that is just so anti everybody that you're against. Maybe this is how God will use it. Even if Trump loses, we have at least a little bit more softer approach to our elective process. I doubt that will last. I have news on that as well. But when it comes to the spectrum of pastors' responses, where was your pastor's response? I mentioned it. I prayed for President Trump. I prayed for the country. I prayed for the rhetoric of our nation. And I asked God to move us forward. And then I got to the Word of God and preached the gospel, and almost 50 people came to Christ across all of our locations this past Sunday. So that's what I did. If you don't go to my church, what did your pastor do? Here's another take that I was actually shocked to find. Arash Yeager said, how long until you see this verse misquoted? Quote, one of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. That's from Revelation chapter 13. Now, of course, he is saying that will someday be misquoted in castigating Donald Trump as the dictator beast of the end times. That was a take I did not anticipate coming, but it hasn't come officially yet, but maybe it will. One final thought pastorally. How is God working in all this? How is he working in all this? That's the question we need to ask. And it's the question that we need to seek God for in the days and months ahead. Because contrary to what many pastors feel like, God is involved in the politics and leadership of nations. I don't believe that we just get up on the pulpit on Sunday and just preach the Bible as if it's a disconnected story from yesteryear that would touch individual human hearts without some kind of contextual assignment for the person who is leaving the building. That is, you come with this news in your head, in your heart. Maybe it's hurting you, maybe it's not hurting you, but whatever. I think a pastor who doesn't address the news of the day is providing a dereliction of duty, because the news of the day is in people's minds. It's in people's faces. And pastors, we got to talk about it. To quote the great Charles Spurgeon, we have the newspaper in one hand, we have the Bible in another hand, and we use both as we proclaim God's word. God's word is very applicable to the moment. But again, back to my premise. In November, God's choice will be revealed, because Daniel chapter 2:21 says, he, that is God, changes time and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. We have to resolve there. We have to end it there. God will make his choice in November, or maybe shortly thereafter if it's election month, as I still to this day predict we are back to 2020 realities election month. I pray that I'm wrong. I pray that we have a decision on election night and we can get on with other things. But that's where we are. The election season is heated up. Here's one last video I want to share with you. This is a great take from Scott Jennings. He is a CNN political correspondent. He is on the right. He's a Republican. And he said something in this speech on CNN's what do you want to call it, show this morning at the RNC about Donald Trump has a perfect opportunity today or this week to bring the country together. Now watch this.
I think he got the platitudes right. Here's where I thought it was lacking. He said the political rhetoric's gotten too hot. We got to cool it down. And what I wanted him to say was, and you know what that means to me too. Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. And a few days later, It's time to put Donald Trump in the bullseye.
Yep.
Now, if the President of the United States had said, I bear some responsibility here, and I'm going to do my part, this would have been a home run. He didn't do that. Instead, he spread it all around, which I guess is as far as he's willing to go. But let me tell you how Republicans are going to take that. They're going to take that as a president who has repeatedly said, I want to heal the soul of the nation, and the buck stops here, but with an unwillingness to acknowledge some of the things that he has said to bring us to a place that he says we're in.
Well,
so I'm not, look, let me stipulate two things. I'm praying for Joe Biden. I have been since the debate. We got to do better. And I'm praying for this country because what happened to Donald Trump was an assault on our democracy, and we should all be mad as Americans because that's what happened. But I need the president to take some responsibility.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Yes.
Like, I feel your passion, and you are restrained compared to the feelings of a lot of people in your party who are very hurt and very mad. I think on our side, though, the passion should also go to Donald Trump. If you want to go through all the
here's the whataboutism,
terrible stuff he said, there's not a day to go through it. It's a pretty big pile to.
I'd like to respond to that.
Okay,
because,
please do.
But because you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And this week
yes,
is the greatest opportunity for a modern presidential candidate since 9/11, for a president or a presidential candidate to unite this country and put us in a better place.
What are
Donald
the chances
Trump,
that's going to happen?
I don't know. I hope good. But Donald Trump has the leverage. He has the capital.
Yep.
He has our attention.
He does.
And he has the moment. He has the moment.
He's exactly right. Pastorally, biblically speaking, let me leave you with this. When you have been severely wounded as a Christian, and the people know you've been severely wounded, do you understand the platform that gives you to represent Christ to the world, to bridge the gap, to be the bigger person, to be the more Christ-like figure? Here's the test, Christians who believe that Trump might be the chosen one. Will he take that angle that Scott Jennings just outlined there? Because if he does, I think he does deserve our vote. I think he does deserve 4 more years. Let's see what happens. By the way, he just picked J.D. Vance as his running mate, and I got more to say about that in the upcoming extra content. But to see that, you've got to go to patreon.com/TimHatchLive and sign up for at least a $10 a month Dependables plan. And if you are in the legacy plan, I know it's $60 a month. You're helping get the word out in more ways than you know. You get this shirt, God Over Government, is coming your way automatically. Let us know your size and your preferred color. It's black right there. That's black. And then this is gray. And let us know, or white. We'll get it out to you as quickly as possible. If you want to buy the shirt, you can head over to timhatchliveshop.com because it's there for purchase for $20, and you support the content. And when you support us, we support Project Rescue and American Bible Society, and that is the show. Thanks for being here. Let's pray like never before, because it's just still 4 months away from the election, and I think we need to pray. God bless.